All right.
Hello, Barb. How you doing?
Very, very well, Jade. How about yourself?
Oh, wonderful. Enjoying my nice winter day. We're coming up to summer, so let's get our spring, so that's
I
good.
know. Can't wait for spring. So can't wait for spring.
Us Canadians, right? We deal with the four seasons, which is okay.
Yes, yes, very, very, very well we do.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for joining me today. There was a hot topic we spoke about last week on people pleasing and
Hmm.
boundaries, right? And I'd love to get Coach Barb's 2 cents on that because as we were talking, I didn't realize I was a people pleaser or what that meant. And and I was had this kind of martyrdom going on. And I got that from my mom. I realized because she was
Hmm.
she was a wonderful martyr, but I thought it was a good thing until I realized it wasn't healthy. And
Absolutely, for sure.
I'd love to have you share on that topic if you wouldn't mind,
My
you know.
pleasure. And this is such a juicy topic to get into. People pleasing, a not knowing your boundaries,
Hmm.
and it's just a perpetual roller coaster, or not even a roller coaster, just that wheel that you're always on, you know, always doing things for everybody else, everybody else, everybody else, and forgetting yourself. So, and I have to say, I am definitely someone who used to do that myself,
Hmm.
and I have slowly learned to start respecting my own personal boundaries.
Mm.
So, um,
What are some character just before you go on that, what are some characteristics of being a pleaser? Because like again, I didn't even realize that I was being.
and a lot of people don't realize that they are people pleasers because they just do.
Mm.
When someone asks them something, they'll just say yes, whether
Yeah,
they
there you
have the
go.
time or the capacity, the mental capacity or the emotional capacity to do it. They just say yes without even thinking. And for them, it's like, oh, well, look at me. I'm helping somebody else. And they feel that they're doing something good. And yes, they are for the other person, but sometimes it's at the detriment to
Detriment.
their own well-being, their own health, their own mindset. And they forget that they forget themselves, and they forget that it's important to take care of themselves first and say yes to themselves and make themselves a priority first before they start saying yes continuously to other people. So that
Yeah.
is a boundary
Well, and even
not
on,
met.
yeah, unmet, yeah. Well, I've heard or through my research, through positive intelligence, there's a New York bestseller book that I'd read by Shirzad Charmaine, and he characterizes a pleaser that they have a strong need to be liked by the people that they are helping too. And I think for women, we
Mhm.
fall into that people pleasing category by our, that there's nature nurture,
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah. And again, I'm going to refer to my own experience. That's exactly how I have been. It was so important for me, or to me, for such a long time to to be liked,
Hmm.
to to be accepted in my social circle, or even beyond my social circle, my work environment. So saying yes for me was the easiest way. But
Hmm.
along the way, I lost myself. And then, through all of my personal growth that I've been doing, with Tony Robbins, and just a lot of reading that I have been doing, it has now given me that realization that it's okay that to say no, because it's okay if everyone doesn't like me, because not everyone is going to like me.
It's so hard to please everyone and all of their needs as well as get our own needs met. That's what I'm hearing.
It's tiring. Like,
Yeah,
can you
it is
imagine?
exhausting.
Like it's like a ball and chain that you're
That's the real ball and chain.
that you're really dragging,
Yeah.
and it's self-imposed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's sometimes the mistake, or even the belief that we as women who are nurturers naturally, it was bestowed upon us,
It's in
beyond
our
time.
genes. Yeah.
Exactly. that that we need to always be there, and always nurture, and always put other people first, our kids, our significant others, our family members, our friends, people in our community, our in our work environment. It's just a natural thing for us to do, and so that's where
Mhm.
we get lost. we,
And
we
that's
lose
also,
ourselves.
yeah. And we as women tend to hit that brick wall, which is usually cancer or some illness that makes us realize. And let's stop that. So let's
Yes.
talk
And
about
then we wonder
boundaries.
why.
Yeah, well, so let's talk about boundaries. You said about saying no. Well, no is a complete sentence, right?
Oh, you hit the nail on the head. Absolutely, it is. And there are many types of boundaries. You have emotional boundaries and physical boundaries. You have workplace boundaries. You even have sexual boundaries, and those are all areas where it's not just one boundary. It's not just saying yes or no. It's whether you are satisfying all of those boundaries, because
Like
you could
honoring
be
yourself.
yes, because you could be saying yes at work, and then constantly saying yes at work, and then maybe saying no somewhere else, and think, well, I'm setting my boundaries, I've said no, but yet in another place you're exhausting yourself because you're trying to keep everybody happy.
And would you say also it can become a habit to be, as you said, you go through your scenarios. You got your work environment where you're a doer. So yes, yes, I'll get this done. I'll get this done. But then when you come home and then your husband or your kids, family members, and then you're like, I'm too exhausted. No. Right.
But do you actually say no?
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Yes, you are probably coming home and being exhausted. Like you just, whew, I've what a day I've had. And yet you've got to start it all over again at
Mm-hmm.
home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's so important to take that time and step away from your busy world. And I'm not saying to not say yes to your husband or your kids and just completely ignore them, but just like men always say when they walk through the door, and you say, honey, can you take out the garbage? Well, just wait a minute, I need like 5 minutes to just sit on the couch and just reboot
Decompress.
myself, decompress. Right, we need that as well. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something that we ignore, and we not that we forget to do, we ignore to do. We
Take
don't do that for
100%
ourselves.
responsibility for
and
sure.
and why can't we come home after a hard day and say, honey, I'm give me about 15 minutes, I'm not going to make dinner, or kids, why don't you go and play for a minute, after of course you kiss them and hug them and just ask them about their day, because of course we always give first, and
Yep.
want to make sure, and then take that time to step away and decompress
Mm-hmm.
and rejuvenate ourselves with whatever we want to do, whether it's going into the bedroom and meditating, or just
Journaling.
taking journaling, or taking 5-10 minutes to just breathe and just have that solitude and that quiet, so that our mind kind of just starts to come down off of a platform.
Mm-hmm.
that we've been on all day. And just something simple like that.
The breathing. I like breath work.
Yeah.
And for that, as we teach in our programs, how vital that is to, bring our nervous system into a balance, right?
Yes.
And getting back to the boundaries, do you feel that sometimes boundaries, there's I guess the conflict can happen if people have different values, like say in a
Yeah.
relationship, for instance, that's the easiest one to look at.
Yes. So, I mean, with relationships, a lot of times what you have grown up with and what you have seen growing up with primary caregivers or family members, or even culturally,
Mm,
you are taught that this is the way it's supposed to be. This is the way my relationship is supposed to be. And so you carry that into it. And that's where sometimes we stumble and we fall, and we just get up and just say to ourselves, well, this is the way it's supposed to be.
that
And this is
sacrifice.
exactly. And
Mhm.
like you mentioned before, the martyrdom, the sacrifice, I have to do it this way. There's no other way. But there is another way, because in a relationship, in a partner relationship specifically, because that's what we're talking about, it's 100% on both sides. It's not,
Not a 50-50.
50-50. It's 100%. And so what you give is reflective of what you're going to get back. But if it's kind of unbalanced, if it goes below 100%, then somebody becomes more of the giver. And then that's when resentment comes in, and anger and anxiety.
Dissatisfaction.
Exactly. And just feeling that they're doing all the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and in other learnings that we've gone through, with taking 100% responsibility for anything. So if we don't like a situation, or something that's going on in our lives, what's the best thing to do? Change oneself,
Exactly.
right?
And which is the right thing to do. But these days, I think a lot of people look for that easy way out,
Boom. Easy
and
button.
they walk away from a relationship, or they just give in to the relationship.
Mm,
And both are detrimental to one's mindset and even one's own physical health.
mhm.
So a lot of people don't realize that the change has to come from within. You cannot change someone else. And I mean, that's a whole topic, another topic of conversation when you talk
I'll write
about,
that one down.
yeah, when you talk about, someone who is physically or emotionally or mentally abused. I mean, the whole idea of you know that is people pleaser
All
right
over the place.
there,
Yeah.
on its own. But yeah, it's just, we have to realize that the change has to come from within, and change isn't difficult.
No.
It's not that it's difficult. It's how to wrap our mind around the fact that we have to do the work from within
Yeah.
before we can see the change
The
that we
results.
want to see and the results
Yeah.
on the outside.
Well, both of us have been in personal development for well over 30 plus years. And I know for myself, when I started the journey in my mid 20s, I think I just aged myself. That's okay. I have come full circle with being a health coach, because I started it in 95, NLP practitioner and all that kind of stuff. And change, when I started that journey and realized, oh, if I'm not happy with something, it's up to me to change it by changing my perspective, by changing my habits, just even like, again, the way we look at something or think about something, it projects out through our feelings and our behaviors. So if we want different results, we got to
We have to
start.
do something different.
Yes, we got to do something different, and digging through that process with a coach, coming,
Yes.
bringing this full circle is, maybe I'll just ask the question: what would a coach do for somebody who finds them in this situation?
Well, every situation is different, but I think the basics remain the same. The number one thing as a coach is to really get your client to understand their why.
The
The
clarity.
reason why they want something different, or they want the change, or they want this goal, or that outcome. If their why isn't strong enough, and if they're not committed to that why, then everything will remain the same. They might see some change, but then they'll backstep.
Revert. Yeah.
They'll change again, and then they'll revert. And then what will happen is they'll just say, well, I tried this, I can't do it. It's just, I've gone down that path. It's not for me. But the realization, I think, that we, the clients, coaches, even, like, that have to understand is that, I mean, we all have our habits, we all have our routines. We get up in the morning, some may slam that snooze button.
Few
We get
times.
up. Yeah, exactly. We go to the bathroom, we brush our teeth, we shower, all of these things. Those are habits. Those are routines. Those can be changed.
Yeah,
I'm not saying skip brushing your teeth or taking a
no,
shower in the morning,
but you can stack on those.
But exactly, you can add, like a 5-minute meditation to set your day. You can, journal for 5 minutes as well, and just set your intention for the day. That's a habit. And to add that into your routine is not difficult, but it allows you that change where you will start to see
the awareness, isn't
the
it?
changes.
Yeah,
Yes,
it allows you the awareness.
And that's just one example. I mean, again, habits, as long as you can replace a not serving habit with something that serves you well, then, and you keep repeating that, then that new habit just becomes something that you do now all the time.
Automatic.
Automatic. They say it takes 21 days, right, to start a new habit.
Yeah.
Some people it takes longer, some people it doesn't, depending on, how strong your why is.
Back to that, of course. Well, and even the 21 days, if you've invested 21 days on doing something, why not keep going? Right?
Exactly.
Because it is about an investment. And a conversation I was just having earlier, I know it's a little bit off of people pleasing. However, people, when they pay, they'll pay attention. Right.
Yes.
Back to the, like, oh, I tried that, it didn't work, after a few days reverting back and forth. Well, if Thomas Edison didn't keep going, we wouldn't have electricity necessarily as soon as we did. But how many tries did it take him? 10,000 or something like that, and that's the persistence is the important part of any change.
For sure. And I mean, he had a strong why. And I'm so glad that he did, because we would be in a completely different situation had he just said, oh, well, I tried and it's just not working.
Yeah.
But, and that's the thing with we people, a human race, is that a lot of us start something and don't see it as a potential permanent change. so for example, I mean, the best example that I can think of is people who go on diets. You
Mhm.
know, I've tried paleo, I've tried Weight Watchers, I've tried, here's a plug for all of these things. You know, I've,
Is it a plug?
you know, I've tried this diet and that diet, and I've read this book and tried it all, and it doesn't work.
Mhm.
But, you know,
You get a
it's
little bit
not,
of something from every single one, though, a little tidbit,
well,
because we're all different.
exactly. And if you haven't just implemented those changes and and just stayed with those changes, as opposed to in your head you're saying, well, I'm doing this for 2 weeks, and if I lose weight, that's great, I've lost the weight, and now I can go back to the way it was. No,
Mhm. It
no,
doesn't work
you
like that. Life
cannot.
doesn't work like
That's,
that.
you'll just gain the weight back, and
Mhm.
you didn't learn the lesson. And the
Mhm.
lesson is that when you embark on change, you must maintain that change so that it's just your new reality.
Mm.
And that's just something that you do,
Mhm.
not something that you're just trying on a temporary basis and then going back to the old.
That didn't serve.
Exactly. That just, it doesn't make any sense.
Back to the
Right?
hamster wheel that you were referring to,
Exact.
just even with people pleasing.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
mean, that's, you know, like the strongest example that I can give, but that works for mindset as well.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, and emotions. And if you think that the only way that people are going to like you is if you continuously say yes, then nothing's going to change. You're just going to continue to say yes.
Get
You're
the
going to
same
start
results.
resenting the fact, you know, that you can't do anything for yourself, and you feel that, you know, you're being taken advantage of. The only one that is taking advantage of you is you.
Back to the mirror exercise, right? Got to look in the
Exactly.
mirror, which I, that's a whole other topic as well. You know, when you don't like something that, on the outside, you got to look at the inside
Yeah.
because it's a reflection, right?
And that's why
Um,
I said this is a juicy topic, because
it's a
this
juicy
has
topic.
so many arms that we can, you know, go off and you know, branch off to. So
Well, and with the people pleasing, some, when a pleaser expresses their own needs, they'll feel selfish. That's the other thing, right?
yes, yes. Because
So
God forbid if I please myself. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, you know, how selfish of me
or
to,
it could drive other people away,
yeah.
and I think being or well, I know in our world of health and life coaching, women don't know how to prioritize themselves through self-care, which again, breath work, journaling,
Mhm.
meditation, walking around the block,
Yeah.
dry brushing, whatever. There's so many ways that they can care for themselves, but they're so busy pleasing others, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
without change, there is no progress. So how do you how I'm going to ask you the question, how, well, this is a rhetorical question almost, how will a woman or a person, anybody,
Yeah.
um satisfy their own needs if they're always putting somebody else or other things in front of themselves?
A very good question. And if you think that you can't, you won't.
You won't. Well,
Right.
oh,
And
I love that one. I've changed that. When I catch myself saying I can't, I change it to I won't. Marie Forleo, the author, Marie TV as well. That's what she says. If you catch
mhm.
yourself saying I can't, change it to I won't. And then you got reality, right?
Exactly. And I mean, you know, if you feel that, you know, putting yourself first, and I mean, they tell you this again, and I'm going to make a reference to what they tell you when they are giving you those instructions on the plane. You
Mm.
know, if something were to happen, the oxygen mask comes down, you put your mask on first, and then you take care of the person or the child or whoever beside you. It's the same thing
Mm.
in your everyday life. Take care of yourself first so that, you know, your cup is half full or full, so that you can then do what you feel that you want to do or get to do
Mm.
with others. If you don't, if your glass is empty or your cup is empty,
Yeah. Where's the energy coming
how are
from?
you, yeah, how are you going to um
Do
you
it
know, take
lovingly,
care?
even.
Exactly. As
Mhm.
opposed to it being, oh, it's just another task that I have to do. And
Mhm.
then the resentment builds in and the anger and all of that stuff. And yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to make a comment that we just have topped on is when your cup is empty. And that includes self-love, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It does.
And that was quite a journey, I'm sure, for you as it was for me to learn
It,
that.
yes. And the importance of self-love and how it is so significant in your personal well-being. I mean, for me, that was a huge aha moment for me, was realizing that putting myself first and saying yes to myself would get me all of the other things that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wasn't that
without,
beautiful?
oh my goodness, yes, absolutely it
On
was.
this
Yes,
topic,
the word yes.
how about your relationship? Did you notice a change in your, you know, your marriage, your kids, the relation, or how you were relating, we'll say, to those around you when you discovered self-love as a priority?
Yes, and the most significant, I mean, my husband and I have been married for like 37 years.
Congratulations.
It's gonna be 38 in June. And you know, as everyone says, oh my gosh, how could you stay together for so long?
That
But you
could be
know what?
another topic, but share the
Exactly.
synopsis.
But and I'm not even going to refer to that, just because um that is slow and steady, and he says to me how often, you know, that he's very, very proud of me and where I have gone, and he aspires to that and all
Oh.
of that. But I think the most significant um relationship change that I noticed was with my daughter.
Mm.
Now she is also, she's a businesswoman as well. She is a coach, and you know, she's often said to me, you know, Mom, I'm so proud of you that you know, you've stepped up and you've stepped out and you're doing what you're doing, and you're inspiring, and you are such an example. And
Mm.
that in itself is worth anything and everything that I've gone through to get to this point. Is just hearing the the just the pride
It's admiration.
and admiration in her voice, and in her hugs, and in her responses to, you know, what I post. It's just an amazing feeling.
Yeah. And
So,
and I think well, I'll add, as coaches, we've come into this space to share that love, our knowledge, our belief in our clients.
exactly.
I know if I can do it, anybody else can do it, you know,
Exactly. Exactly.
and it's important. It's
You know,
important for our world right now.
for sure. If you have that will, that desire, that inkling, and again, if your why is really strong and you're determined to get to the end or across that bridge onto the other side, it can be done. You just have to have that desire, that willingness, that strong, I'm going to do this no matter what.
Yeah. Well, and one of the reasons why coaches, it's a booming, industry, is because
Mhm.
sometimes it's hard to do it on our own. We need the accountability, or not need, but
Yes.
we want the accountability. We want a buddy to go along with us. And that's how I see coaching, as it's,
Yes.
it's a professional buddy system. And
Exactly. Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, we're not therapists, we're not counselors, but as coaches, we come together on an equal level, really,
mhm,
um, sharing our personal experiences. Not that we share them. I mean, we can during sessions, but using our personal experiences to help others who may be on a similar road, or who just need that extra support. And
mhm.
it's when you said something about support, and I think I'm losing my train of thought here, but I went off and thought of it. But that's what happens, when you just so many things going on in your mind, and stuff like that. And um,
Well, coaches offer the support and accountability.
exactly. And they offer it um, without judgment.
Mhm,
Just, here I am. It's an open space. Speak your truth. Speak, what's in your heart and what you need to do. And I am here to support you. I am here to advocate for you. I am
mhm,
here to believe in you until you believe in yourself. and
mhm.
and I think that's a lot of times, that's, for me, that's what it is I will hold that belief for you, that
Yes.
you can get to the end of the road, across that bridge, and be where you want to be, until you start believing that in yourself.
Yeah, well, and that gets back to, if I can do it, so can you. And I'll believe in you being able to do it because I was able to do it. I've had coaches in my life to do that for me.
Exactly,
I want to
exactly.
give back by doing that for others, because I know that there's a lot of our, potential clients, will say, out there, that haven't met us yet,
Yeah,
that are feeling lost. They're in the martyrdom,
mhm,
that cycle they want to get out. They just don't know. And we're here for them, right?
exactly.
As you say, just asking the right questions to get the new perspectives, right? That's
Yeah.
what a coach does.
And it's amazing because we've done that for each other
Mm-hmm.
through the time that we've known each other, which honestly hasn't been quite that long.
Coming up
But
to a
that's
year.
okay. But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's where that connection, that connectivity comes in. You don't have to know someone for like 15, 20, 30 years to find that connection. And I mean, sometimes the people that you know for that long, you don't really have that connection.
Have
And
that
yet
connection.
someone you meet like almost a year ago, and then you have that powerful connection because you're both on the same plane, you're both on the same wavelength, and we each have our own journeys, but they're very much connected in
Mhm.
that same way. And that's what we as coaches um, give to our clients.
Offer.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I appreciate your time today, Barb.
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I can't wait for our next hot topic, boy, let me tell you. It's
That's right. That's right. Next week.
yes. And if someone wanted to reach you, how would they be able to do that?
Right. I'm at livingon10.com. And Barb?
I email is bestofbarbwellness@gmail.com. And that's also my Instagram handle is bestofbarbwellness.
I love that. Yes, I'm Living on 10 Coaching on Instagram and on Facebook.
That's
Because
awesome.
I believe that we all get to, we should be living on 10, having 10 out of 10 days, right?
Absolutely. What a great phrase. I love that.
Well, thank you, Barb.
Thank you. And we'll chat next time.
Yeah.